What's up, Sneaky Nation? Sneaky P here with my 2018 NFL mock draft, as well as my own personal draft and what I would do if I were the GM. I've never actually done a full-on mock draft like this before. This will be the first time, and I'm excited about it, but it's really tough this season. I feel like more than others because you really have no idea where the Browns are going. Right now, it sounds like it's between two, maybe three different quarterbacks, which could change the entire draft. But the really tricky part is, where will the Bills trade up? We all know they're trying to make a trade, and depending on who they trade with, the whole draft could change. So really tough to do, but I had a lot of fun with this. So let's go ahead and get going with it. Like I said, it's all for fun. And here we go. Browns #1 overall. It's between Sam Darnold and Josh Allen in my mind. Sam Darnold has the highest floor. Josh Allen has the highest ceiling. Now, an argument could be made for Josh Allen here based on Tyrod Taylor already being there. They don't need a quarterback to come in and play right away. And I've kind of gone back and forth with this. Ultimately, though, I am going Sam Darnold #1 overall. The reason being, he just strikes me as more of a leader, and I think that's going to sell the Browns management on him. That's not to say Josh Allen is not a leader, but from the videos that I've seen of him, I just can't see him commanding that locker room the way Sam Darnold could. I think Sam Darnold would get more respect out of the gate and have him learn behind Tyrod Taylor for a little bit before moving forward. So Sam Darnold going #1 in the mock draft. Now, if I were the Cleveland Browns, this is what I would do, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm probably going to make some Browns fans upset with this, but it is what it is. This is my draft, not the Browns anymore. So here we go. #1 overall, Bradley Chubb. That's right, I'm not taking a quarterback here for a few different reasons. The first of which, dominant pass rushing teams have been doing so well in the NFL for a very long time now. Just last year, look at what the Eagles were able to accomplish with the group that they had. Obviously, the Browns got Myles Garrett last year. He is looking very, very good when he's on the field. Add in another guy, Bradley Chubb. They have a few other young defensive linemen there too. I think you are going to be able to get a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks for a long time. And if you guys have watched my series at all, you know I like to build up the defense first. I think this really takes the Browns defense to another level here. Other reasons, I really like Tyrod Taylor. I don't think he's their long-term franchise quarterback, but I definitely think he's good enough for at least another 2 to 3 years for them right now. Now, I do think they should address it at some point in the future. I just don't know that it should be this year. The other reason being, I look at their coach, Hugh Jackson. He's won 1 game in the last 2 years, and I'm thinking, how many games is he going to have to win this year to keep his job? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very possible the Browns fire him next offseason, bring in a new coach, let him pick out his own quarterback next season. They should have plenty of draft capital to do so, because I can't see them using all of their picks this year. I think they'll probably trade some for future picks. I could be wrong. Like, I don't know. That's just what I would do in this situation. Obviously, you could have a situation where Jared Goff was taken and then a new coach comes in McVay and they do very well together. But what if McVay would have rather had Carson Wentz? You just don't know. So those are the 3 reasons right there. And again, that's just what I would do. I don't think the Browns are going to take Bradley Chubb #1. In fact, I know they're not. But like I said, that's just my draft. #2 overall for the Giants. I think you guys probably know where I'm going here. Bradley Chubb. I just talked about how much I like this guy. You know, the Giants have 4 Super Bowls, and during their Super Bowls, they have had great pass rushers, whether it be Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, Jason Pierre-Paul, who just left. I think the Giants realize the value of a good pass rusher here. I know they need a running back too, and I know Saquon Barkley is a popular pick, but there is a ton of running back depth here. And I think you're better off getting one in round 2, maybe round 3, whereas you're not going to find another good edge rusher right out of the gate. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a few, but I definitely like the odds more of grabbing a good running back than I do grabbing a good edge rusher later on in the draft. In my draft, what I would do, we're going Sam Darnold here. The reason why is Bradley Chubb is off the board, first of all. Otherwise, I probably would have gone there. But the Giants actually have a very good team right now. You know, they had a ton of injuries last year. They had a lot of players that quit on their coach last season, and not a great coach anyway. And that's the only reason they are picking this high. So when I say this, I don't think they're going to be picking this high again. And Eli is obviously getting up there in age. They are going to need to find a replacement for him. I think it's a perfect opportunity to grab your quarterback of the future, let him learn behind Eli Manning for a season, and then give him the reins next year. Because, again, Eli's up there in age, and when Eli retires, I doubt they're going to be picking top 5. They'll probably have a mid-round pick, like, you know, 15 to 20, I don't know, but this is their opportunity to get their Eli replacement. I think they should go ahead and do it here. Number 3 in my mock draft, we are going Baker Mayfield. And I think this one's coming down to Baker Mayfield and Josh Rosen. The reason I'm going Mayfield here is I think he is more likely to command his teammates' respect. Josh Rosen has a few more red flags to me. First and foremost, his injury concerns. I mean, it might not be a big deal, but it's just something that you got to look at this high in the draft. The other thing, his personality, I think, is turning some teams off, whereas I think Baker Mayfield's personality is winning some teams over. I'm going to go Mayfield here, and I'm actually going to repeat this one in my mock draft. I just like the fit of him going to the Jets there. Number 4, Browns. Here you go, Browns fans. I got him taking Saquon Barkley. Again, I don't love the idea of taking a running back super early on here, mostly because I love the depth of this draft. It's really nothing against Saquon Barkley. I think he looks like an elite prospect, but I see some really good running back prospects in rounds 2 and round 3 as well. And, you know, that's just me personally. But here, the Browns get their quarterback of the future and their running back of the future. They got some good young pieces on defense last year. They have a bright future here. And I like what they would do in this scenario, which I think might actually happen. For my side, again, like I just said, I don't love the idea of taking Saquon Barkley just this high. I think the Browns could address that later in the draft. So for me, I'm going Denzel Ward. The highest I've seen him. I haven't seen anybody taking Denzel Ward at number 4. But the reason is, you got Garrett and Chubb getting pressure on quarterbacks. They're going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. You have the number 1 man cover corner in this draft locking down a receiver. It's really going to make things difficult for opponents. I think if you're the Browns, you have a few running backs there. They'll have to address it at some point. Carlos Hyde's a little bit up there in age. And then obviously the other guy's expiring. So Duke Johnson. So they're going to have to consider that. But again, you can get some good running backs in rounds 2 and round 3 here. So that's what I would do if I were the Browns. You know, get that defense going. Focus on offense a little bit more next season. Next up, we've got a trade. Like I said, we all know the Bills are going to make a trade for a quarterback. The big puzzle piece is guessing where. Right now, I am going with number 5 in the Denver Broncos here. So the Broncos would move down to 12 and 22 in this scenario. And for the Bills, I am going Josh Allen. I think he has that big arm. It will work in that Buffalo weather. I actually like him a lot. I'm not entirely sold on his personality as a leader. It's going to be interesting to see how he pans out, because I do think of the top 4 quarterbacks, Josh Allen probably has the lowest floor, but I also think he has the highest ceiling. And that's something to keep an eye on there. Go learn behind McCarron for a season or whatever, and, you know, move forward with him. I think he kind of fits what they would be looking for. I do not have the Broncos trading the number 5 pick in my mock. I am going Quentin Nelson here. I think Quentin Nelson's just a player that's going to be very good for them. He's going to anchor that offensive line for a long time. They have to get another running back. They let go of C.J. Anderson. But with C.J. Anderson, like I said, there's running backs later in the draft. You can get that later. I think they trust Case Keenum enough to move forward with him for now. I don't think they would have made a big priority to sign him if they wanted to take a quarterback. Now, if Baker Mayfield falls to 5, I definitely think he'd be in consideration. But as of right now, in this mock, I think they're going to go Quentin. Well, I would do Quentin Nelson, I guess I should say. I think they'll trade the pick for Josh Allen. Next up, we have the Colts. And I am going Roquan Smith to captain that defense. He's been rising up the draft boards lately, and I think he would be a great player for them. They've got a ton of holes here. I would not rule them trading down this pick with the Bills either if the Broncos do not, but they just need some football players right now. Roquan Smith is definitely that, going to be sideline to sideline, and I think that'll be a good player for them. In my mock, I do have the Bills trading here again. they're going to have a lot of holes to fill, the Colts. So I think they try to acquire some more picks here. And then once again, we're going Josh Allen to the Buffalo Bills. So, you know, one pick different in what I would do. But yeah, that's my what I would do in that situation. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am reading that Derwin James is their guy. I think, you know, he's going to add some versatility to that defense. He's a playmaker, and I'm hearing they're very high on him, so we're just going to stick with it. And finally, in my mock, I have Saquon Barkley coming off the board, getting that run game going, getting Jameis Winston another offensive weapon there. I know it's further down than a lot of people have predicted, but for me, again, there's just depth, so it makes sense to wait on a running back. And I think the Bucs are getting great value here. Arguably the best player in the draft, and definitely going to be a big key for them moving forward on offense. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears. Let's see what we got here. And I'm going Quentin Nelson. Still on the board. They have some good young running backs there. They got Trubisky last season. They got some wide receivers this year. This offense is really coming together. Quentin Nelson could be a Pro Bowl player his rookie season. He's that good, and I think he'd make a ton of sense to the Bears there. Next up in my mock draft, going Roquan Smith. Like I said, he's been rising up the boards. He's a guy that can anchor that defense there, and I think that would make sense for Chicago in this situation with Quentin Nelson already off the board. Moving over. Next up, we got another trade here, and this one might be a little bit outside the box, but I've kind of read it as a possibility. I think the 49ers are trying to trade down. I think they would really like to pick up, you know, an edge rusher, and I think number 9 might be a little bit early for one not named Bradley Chubb, who is not there. So I think the Packers are going to trade up here. I've read they are looking to acquiring a cornerback and might be willing to trade up for the right one. In this situation, Denzel Ward has fallen down the boards to number 9. I think the Packers make the move. It shouldn't cost a whole lot to move from 14 to 9 right here, and I just think that's a good play for them. They get a great corner and a guy that can maybe get Aaron Rodgers the ball back there. So moving on, what I would do if I were the 49ers, go with Tremaine Edmunds. I'm a huge Edmunds fan. I would love to see him on the 49ers. I think he could potentially be a Reuben Foster replacement if Foster doesn't end up being on the roster. And if Foster is there, Edmunds has the versatility to move around. He could even develop as a pass rusher, which the 49ers greatly need. He might not be that right now, but so much potential is there. I would love to see him on the 49ers. Next up, we've got the Oakland Raiders, and we've got another trade. The Cardinals moving up to get their guy, and I think that's going to be Josh Rosen. I do think they, I don't think the Dolphins are going to draft a quarterback, but I think the Cardinals are going to jump in front of them just in case. Just in case there's the curveball. They happen all the time during the draft. I think the Cardinals get their guy here. For me, what I would do is I'm taking Derwin James for the Raiders. I think he would make a lot of sense for them. You know, another athlete, another guy who can make some plays on that defense. They definitely need some help in the secondary. I think he delivers there. The Dolphins going Vita Vea. And I love that pick, both sides. I think it will happen. I think it should happen. You know, an Ndamukong Suh replacement, just a good fit there. I really like that one. Next up, the Bills obviously traded with the Broncos here, so the Broncos picking Tremaine Edmunds. And I think, you know, he's not the best fit in this scenario, but I definitely think he's the best player available right now. I think he has some versatility. He can move around that defense a little bit. And, you know, he's going to be matched up with some good players that could really help him shine. So I like that fit there. Over here, the Colts traded out of that pick. I have them going Minkah Fitzpatrick. You know, I know they got Hooker last year. Fitzpatrick has some versatility. He can play some nickel, could move around a little bit. But the Colts need some players. I think he is a football player, best available player at this point. And again, I understand they got Hooker last year, but I think they definitely find a way to make it work with Fitzpatrick there as well. Next up, the Washington Redskins. Once again, I just love this pick, both sides. Daron Payne out of Alabama. You know, pairing him back up with Jonathan Allen. They had the worst run defense in the NFL last season, and I definitely think this pick helps change that. Moving forward, the Packers traded with the 49ers here. Like I said, I think the 49ers are looking at either Marcus Davenport or Harold Landry in this situation. Right now, I have them going with Marcus Davenport. Part of me really feels like Harold Landry is the guy they're looking at, but I think about that defense, and I just think Davenport's the guy that the defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, is going to promote here. So I'm going to go Davenport here. I could definitely see it being Landry, but I think that's where the 49ers are leaning. Over here, the Packers did not trade. Denzel Ward not available. I have them going Josh Jackson, a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk, and the Packers are best when Aaron Rodgers has the ball in his hands. Josh Jackson might be a guy that can get him the ball back a few different times, so I definitely think he'd be a nice fit there, and that would be the pick for me. Next up, Cardinals trade with that Raiders. So the Raiders selecting now, and I have them going Minkah Fitzpatrick. I really... You know, as I do this mock, I look at it and I'm like, I don't see Minkah Fitzpatrick falling to 15. But like I said, so much can change with the trades that are happening. So in this scenario, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick falls down to 15. And I think the Raiders are ecstatic about it. Definitely a good player for them. Over here, Josh Rosen falling to the Cardinals. They don't even have to trade up right now. And they're going to get their guy anyway. Baltimore Ravens... I'm going Lamar Jackson here. And there's a few different reasons for this. But, you know, you see them talking to Colin Kaepernick. They didn't end up bringing him in, but they were looking at him. They did bring in Robert Griffin III. Whichever team drafts Lamar Jackson is going to have to be willing to change their offense. I think the Ravens are starting to move in that direction. Obviously, Joe Flacco's up there in age. He's not doing quite as well as I think the Ravens would like. He's still going to be the starter this year, but, you know, Lamar Jackson, he's going to take some time. He's a little bit more raw. He's going to need a little bit more coaching. So I think they roll with Flacco here, but they get their quarterback of the future in Lamar Jackson. Now, for me, if I were the Ravens, I'm not as big on Lamar Jackson. There's a few different reasons for this, but we'll get to that later. But I have them taking Marcus Davenport. I think it's really good value at this point in the draft. You know, obviously Terrell Suggs is getting up there in age. They have Matthew Judon as well. But outside of that, they didn't really have a lot of pass rushers. Marcus Davenport's a little bit more raw, so it kind of makes sense to get him and let him learn behind, you know, a great player in Terrell Suggs for a little bit and then move forward. Suggs is still getting it done, don't get me wrong, but they have to start thinking, you know, how much longer does he have left? I think he's 36 right now. Still getting it done, but like I said, be wise to start looking to the future, and especially if you're going to have Suggs there to mentor him a little bit, I think it's a great scenario. Moving forward, the Chargers going with Taven Bryan here. I think they had the second worst run defense in the league. Taven Bryan's the guy. He's going to get to the quarterback too. But he might be a guy that can help out with that a little bit. Definitely somewhat of a pass rusher too, so he offers some versatility there, but it's definitely going to help their run defense as well. For me, I have him going Rashaan Evans. So move back a little bit to linebacker, but a guy that can make some plays across the field and should help with that run defense as well. Seattle Seahawks, Mike McGlinchey is going to be the pick here. And I think they move Ifedi back to guard and just kind of move forward. Obviously, they got Dwayne Brown last season, but they still need a lot of help. I have him listed left tackle here. He could probably play right tackle, which is what I imagine he'd be doing in Seattle. But for me, I'm going Will Hernandez. Step right in, play guard, get that run offense going, offer some pass protection for Russell Wilson. He needs it badly, and that's where I'm going. Dallas Cowboys at 19, going Calvin Ridley here. Obviously, they just let go of Des Bryant. They did bring in Allen Hurns. They got some other receivers there, but I think you heard Jerry Jones talk about it. They need that other number one guy, and I think Calvin Ridley, you know, he's a guy that's going to step in right away and make some plays. A little bit older, but definitely a good player. For me, though, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going DJ Moore. I like his potential a little bit more. And I don't know that he's going to be as good as Calvin Ridley day one, but it also wouldn't shock me. DJ Moore's rising up a lot of boards. He's a guy that I like a lot, and I'm going there at number 19. Detroit Lions, they definitely need some help in the run game. Taking Will Hernandez here out of UTEP. Makes a lot of sense. Again, they're a team that should be looking for a running back, in my opinion, and I think they could get one round 2 or round 3. That would make sense, but getting Will Hernandez definitely going to help them out. They already got the pass game going. Let's get some run action there for the Lions, and for me, I'm going Isaiah Wynn in this scenario. Will Hernandez off the board again. Pretty much a lot of the same reasons. The guy that's going to help them run the ball and open it up more for the passing attack as well. Cincinnati Bengals, another team that really needs some help on the offensive line. I think they had one of the, like, maybe the second worst run attack after the Lions. So going James Daniels, both sides here. I just like that fit. I think he would definitely help them out. They need to rebuild a lot more of this offensive line, and they start it in round 1. The Bills obviously traded out of this pick with the Denver Broncos, and I think the Broncos go Mike Hughes, and Aqib Talib replacement here. Going defense again, that's where they've had a lot of success, and I think they're going to have to replace a few players, so I take them, or I think they're going to go Mike Hughes here. For me, over here, it's the Colts, and Harold Landry still on the board. I think he's a great edge rusher, at least available at this point in the draft. Obviously looked really good 2 seasons ago. Last year, kind of took a step back, had some injury concerns. But at this point, I think he's really good value in the draft, and the Colts continue to add some football players that are going to help them moving forward. Next up, we got the Patriots going Colton Miller here. Think he's a good replacement for Solder, and yeah, you know, they're going to need some help there. Mike McGlinchey is who I would have him taking. He's not available in my mock draft. The Seahawks took him, but he did fall over here, and I think that would make some sense for the Patriots. Panthers have him going Justin Reed on both sides. I really like this guy. Think he's going to be a good player. Kind of that Kurt Coleman replacement as well. And the Panthers should be able to move forward, adding some young pieces to that defense. Obviously, Cam Newton holding down offense right now. Could use another wide receiver eventually. But for right now, I just have them going with Justin Reed. To the last 8 picks of the draft, here we go. Tennessee Titans going Rashaan Evans in this scenario. They lost Avery Williamson. Kind of makes some sense for me. And then who I would take is Leighton Vander Esch. So again, another Avery Williamson replacement of sorts there. But that would be my pick if I were the Titans. Rashaan Evans not available over there. For the Atlanta Falcons, we're going Hayden Hurst. Get Matt Ryan, another weapon here. And then what I would do in this scenario, go with Taven Bryan. Again, guy that's going to get some pressure on the quarterback from the middle there. Definitely like the fit in Atlanta. And that would be my pick. Moving on to the Saints, I have them going Harold Landry, falling all the way down to 27 here. And I think that's just a great pickup for them. Best player available on the board right now. And, you know, a guy that can help that defense get even better, get more pressure on the quarterback. And then what I would do here is Hayden Hurst. You know, they haven't really had that dominant tight end, obviously, since Jimmy Graham. They did have Benjamin Watson, who was solid for them. But here they go with Hayden Hurst. I think he is going to be a playmaker. It's also getting Drew Brees another weapon. For the Steelers, going Jair Alexander here. You know, they have some other needs there too. But Joe Hayden, he's not proving that he can stay on the field. He's got some injury concerns. They have some inconsistent young corners. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. Sometimes they look good. Other times they struggle a little bit more. So I think cornerback is a possibility. It also would not shock me if they went with like a linebacker like Leighton Vander Esch or somebody like that. But for right now, I have him going Jair Alexander. Then Mike Hughes on the other side again, kind of the same reasons. He's a very good player, still on the board at number 28. And with the injury concerns with Hayden, with the inconsistencies of the younger guys, I think it makes some sense. Jacksonville Jaguars going with DJ Moore out of Maryland. They get their wide receiver. Obviously, they lost Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson. They do have some good young receivers there, but I think DJ Moore gives them another number 1 wide receiver. And then Lamar Jackson in my draft. I know they just re-signed Blake Bortles to an extension, but I'm not entirely sold on Blake Bortles. I think he did well last year, but what's going to happen this upcoming season? We'll have to see if he can repeat or if it was kind of one of those one-year wonder type things. But I have him going Lamar Jackson here. And, you know, let him develop. Give Blake Bortles some time, but let Lamar Jackson develop for a little bit. For the Minnesota Vikings. Going with Frank Ragnow out of Arkansas. I think that makes some sense. A little versatility there, but some help on the offensive line, and I actually have him taking that as well. So there we go. Moving on to the Patriots, Leighton Vander Esch. Like I said, I don't know if he's going to be on the board here. There's some other situations where I can see a team taking him, but definitely fits the type of player I think the Patriots would like. He's going to offer some versatility as well, and I really like that pickup for them. What I would do, though, Dallas Goedert here out of South Dakota State. Obviously, Rob Gronkowski's coming back next season. Maybe he even plays another season, but you know, it's clear that he's thinking about other things at this time. With Dallas, you're going to bring in a guy that can learn behind Rob Gronkowski for a year, maybe 2 years. And even then, the Titans run 2 tight end sets so they can make it work. They're going to find some time for him. I really like that pickup for the Patriots. And then last but not least, I actually have the Eagles going with Dallas as well. I think that's, you know, a Trey Burton replacement and another weapon for their offense there. And then 32 overall, I can't believe he's still here. Calvin Ridley, just kind of best player available. You know, they traded Torrey Smith away. Calvin Ridley at this point is a great player on the board. He's going to come in and step in, be a day one contributor. And I really like this pickup for them there. So that is going to be it for my mock draft. And then what I would do in the draft, you know, back and forth with some things here. Obviously, I'm probably going to be wrong on quite a lot of this stuff, but it's a mock draft. I think everybody's going to be wrong. It's all for fun. But I'm excited about it. I'm very much looking forward to the draft. Like I said earlier, this draft, more than others, it could go so many different ways. And I think the Bills are really one of the teams that's going to change it depending on who they trade up with. It should be an exciting draft, guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.